Hello everyone, I am back. Yesterday I helped Charlie pack up his stuff and did a little bit with the printer. And today I'm back on the Grand Sport. So let me show you what I'm doing. Alright, so those of you that have been watching know I am making a quick mold, call it a splash mold, off of the Grand Sport front end. I've covered, I don't know, 75%, 80, whatever, of it with PVA, wax, gel coat, tooling gel coat, fiberglass resin, polyester, and then a single layer of, in most places, a single layer of fiberglass mat. Should be about 45 thousandths thick on the combination of all those. All right, so now I had to go back and hit some spots that I missed. I've been fighting with the rain. I've been working outside, fighting with the rain off and on. The nice thing about working outside is that I don't have to worry about making a mess with the fiberglass resin. It always makes a mess. The bad side is the weather. So it's been raining off and on. I've been fighting that, working in between. So it was sunny yesterday, but I had to help Charlie. Today it rained this morning. Sprinkled a little bit. I came out here and worked. Then it actually rained for a little bit, so I ran inside. I got absolutely soaked working, but I got some stuff done. Then I had to dry everything off because water and fiberglass resin don't mix. And as you can see from the sky, it's definitely not sunny. It's like 6 o'clock or something, not 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, it's going to rain later, but I got some plastic to cover everything up. So, what you see now, the white part is places where I missed. I did some of it from the top, some of it from the bottom, and then when I went back and looked, there are like some spots that I missed. I pieced the pieces together. So you can see that there's a piece right here, edge of a piece right there. So it's kind of patchwork on here, and I was trying to get as big a piece as I could to cover each section without making it too difficult. The mat doesn't want to go into like tight corners and stuff. You can make it, but you have to work with it. And I was trying to work as quick as possible. I also went in and trimmed all the edges. What I do is I purposely leave a lip about an inch all the way around. And the reason why is because at some point you have to be able to take the mold loose from the part or the part loose from the mold, however you want to look at it. In order to do that, you need something to grab onto. If you make the two edges even, it's very difficult to get it removed. So let's see. This is a case right here. This isn't quite my inch, but that's where the piece I cut ended. And so now what I can do is I can grab onto this piece and pull it loose, and you can hear it, see it come loose. All right. Some places I didn't get it, or like in this case, it wraps underneath. I'm going to have to cut that part that wraps underneath out, but it helped to make sure everything fit. This right here is how I typically do it. And again, there's an inch, inch and a half, whatever. It just needs to be enough that you can get a hold of. So this is actually a little excess, but that way I don't have to accurately or highly accurately put the fiberglass on it. I pre-cut it in strips. But I didn't cut it to shape. Now, don't tell a purist, but what I did also this morning, which is why it didn't matter that it rained, is that I pulled the mold loose from the part over most of it, not all of it, because I still want to have some areas to do. I've got to fix those areas. But what that does is, while it's too thin, it's only 45 thousandths thick, so it's somewhat flexible, and it's still a little bit green. So that allows me to get it loose. The PVA is water soluble, so I purposely got water, hot water, sprayed it in there. I got a gap in there. As soon as I got a gap in there, I used pieces of wood. These happen to be stir stick / rulers that I bought. I typically use door shims because they're thin on one end and thicker on the other. These are the same thickness all the way through. Again, I don't like to go on a trip to go get something because that's going to kill about 2 hours by the time I get it and come back. So it's a little more difficult getting things started, but once I got them started, then I stuck those sticks in there, and then I used a water spray bottle. I don't know where it is, probably inside. Put hot water in it, and then I sprayed it in that gap. And if you put the sticks in there and you leave them, the two surfaces let go of each other. It takes a little while. You can force it if you want to, but it's a whole lot easier just to stick them in there and then spray the water in there, and it will release itself. It just takes a little while. All right, so again, like I said, the white spot are the patches. One of the disadvantages of rushing it, and admittedly I rushed it, trying to take it off, is that any place that you didn't get your fiberglass on, it cracks. So there it is. There's the gel coat. See the crack right there? That's because there was no reinforcement here. I did that partially because I wanted to see what would happen. I was hoping that, you know, after I put the gel coat on, I put a coat of just resin, pure resin on. And I was hoping that pure resin would be strong enough. It's not. You can see it didn't hold up. No big deal. I will cover it up. I wish it wouldn't happen, of course, but it did. What I do here is I cut the piece to shape, and then I make a mark right here, a line, where it's going to be in the deep spot, so where the corner is. So that way I know when I get the resin on here that this should go down to where that is in that corner right there. There is no corner here, but there is right here. So right there you can see that, oh, when I line that up, that corner goes there. Let's see, I did mark with a Sharpie places that still need to be done. The reason I'm not doing them right now is because this would be a whole lot easier to do if this thing was laying on its side and this was up, and I could just lay a piece of fiberglass cloth on there. So I'm going to wait and do that. This area here could be done, but as any of you that have kept up with the Facebook groups I'm in, they're all yelling, oh, you're going to trap your part in the mold. And yeah. So this probably needs to be cut off at some point, so it doesn't really matter. The advantage of leaving it is it gives this strength. If you look, it cracked right there because it has no strength there. There's just an edge right there. But what I'm hoping is I'll be able to take this whole front end and tilt it from this back, and it'll come up. Well, it can't go up, so all of this has to go to about right there, say. I can have this edge all the way down, but I've got to cut off this bottom piece right here, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Again, I'll see. Worst case, what I'll do is I can come in and cut this thing right down on this seam line, and that will allow it to separate there. Or I can come down halfway down here or partially down there. The reason why you really want to do it on a seam line though, or a body line, is because it's easier to blend. It's harder to blend, or it's more critical when you blend a flat area, easier to see. That way, spot right there, you can get away with a little bit not being quite so accurate. All right. Now, oh, so you may have noticed I put it on a ladder, and then I've got this pergola. So then I come up here on the pergola and stand on the bench. And here's all my patchwork to get the headlight areas, the turn signal areas. There's a little spot that I missed where these two pieces didn't meet. Again, the turn signal area. This headlight area I didn't think was got very well, but when I looked at it, it's there. There's some air bubbles and stuff, but I'm not trying for 100%, so it's no big deal. All right, so as soon as I get done with this, that's what I'm going to do. But before I do that, I want to show you the other reason I'm not worried about this is I have the old fender that came off of this car. Now, some of the Grand Sport replicas, or pseudo replicas, you took a factory C2 Corvette, that'd be a 63 through 67. Most people use the 64 because it wasn't a split window. And you added some of the features. One of the major features is the fender flare. The C2 Corvette does not have this fender flare on it. And so they added this to allow them to run wider wheels and tires. So what they would do is they would add that fender flare. The other thing is the turn signals on the C2 actually protrude out here. They're like I don't know, a semicircular tube that comes out, and then the light sits up here in front. If you look at this Grand Sport, that turn signal's sunken down in a pocket. The other thing is the headlights. The headlights on a C2 are, they rotate. On the Grand Sports, they got rid of that whole rotating mechanism and just put plexiglass over it. So the Grand Sports don't have a piece that protrudes right here, which if you look at this one, they left that piece, even though it's not accurate for a Grand Sport, they left it there. Also, the turn signal, you can see it's down further and it's not sunken in like it is on the other Grand Sport. The one that I'm working with now is supposed to be very accurate. This one is obviously not. Let me show you. This thing has been beat up. I don't know what happened to it. And you can see. So if you look, the part that's the lighter colored right there, the tannish color, that is the Grand Sport stuff that was grafted on. This stuff up here is the factory stuff. So you can see right where they cut the factory fender off, and they probably screwed it, maybe used, I don't know, body filler or fiberglass, I don't know which, hard to tell. And then they patched the two together. It looks like they also used some adhesive right here, which is a better approach. And then this whole front end is some conglomeration of the two, where there's the Grand Sport part in the back as we're looking at it, and then they crafted on the factory C2 headlight assembly, sort of, and then they did something weird here with that turn signal. No clue what they did. So you can see it's kind of a Frankenstein between the factory C2 and the Grand Sport. But the reason why I'm not worried about it, like I said, I have an entire fender. So if I have to cut off this fender or cut up this fender, I'm sorry, cut up the mold, I'm not gonna cut up the fender itself. But if I have to cut up the mold to get it off, no big deal. I have another fender right here that I can just remake that part, a mold off of that. So no big deal. Okay, I think that's got everything, or it's got everything I'm going to do for now. Like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate. And if you don't know what I'm doing, you don't know Jack. Bye.